We're going to start recording as well, now that we have the non-copyrighted music. And yes, the UPSE group, which are all X501st members,
We on the staff
they brought a
as we try this
massive amount of new people, and they're all named Dylan.
If we're successful tonight, then yeah, we're gonna be able to open it up, get some more groups in here, get some fresh faces, and
but they
not have to worry about that pesky RSVP for a little bit. Well,
they
worry about those slots on that.
Got a lot of Dylans in here,
but who knows? They might fill up really quick. You never know. All right.
You've noticed, but we actually slotted everyone in faster than usual.
It's also 80. Wow.
It's also me. All right. Can I get a brief from the mission maker?
all the clones, right?
He's not here, but he gave me the brief. So, BLUFOR is attacking 3 farms in any order to take control and hack the terminals. It is for OPFOR to defend those. And yeah, I guess you know what you got of vehicles and assets, so I won't go into that.
All right. Questions from our company leaders?
Nothing, mate. Just having a fun, I guess.
Who knows what?
Good.
Fantastic. All right. Once again, thank you all for coming. Good luck. Have fun. Round 1 of FNF starts right now.
Dun dun.
Hold on one second.
Oh yeah,
That's
I have to activate my...
Yeah, it helps if you activate TFAR. Alright, let's hit my buttons here. I forgot to get TFAR done in there.
Oh shit, we have little pew-pew guns. Oh, that's cool.
You're gonna hear other people locally as it moves me down, but since I'm solo shoutcasting for EU tonight, we'll be listening to their local comms until people start dying, in which case I will tab out and mute myself. Barbarian, last week was his last EU event because now he has, he's set up for his new job, and he now works like 8 to 5, which unfortunately cuts into EU FNF, so... with how everything's going, I was gonna line up some other people to shoutcast with me, but now, you know, there's 2 servers, so we have to actually divide ourselves among both servers, so just means I get to cover everything with you, lovely, wonderful people. You get to be my co-commentators here.
Just give me 8 radios and I'm fine. Give me 2 radios with
And don't worry about the bees, don't you worry, but... Again, this is going to be pretty interesting because they're dividing the server into 2 instances to be able to host more people. So it's still at the 124 cap, but each server has about 80 players right now, if not 90, 80 to 90, because again, let me actually look at the total here. Also, our server got started. They're still working on server 1. But, yep, 171 people in the TeamSpeak, so 170 divided by 2 is...
I've not seen that before, right? Right, ground troops, right.
Because I'm not American, come and join group 1.
I might have to mute myself if they're gonna... There's people and spectators speaking, so I might have to mute myself in that regard, so... Oh well, on that, but otherwise, 170 divided by 2 is, what, 85? No. Yeah, 85. So that is why it's BLUFOR for OPFOR with the 15% numbers advantage.
Right.
Even though it's more like a 25 or 33% numbers advantage, what they've given, but it's 33 OPFOR defenders versus
to the defense and
45 BLUFOR. But yeah, no, I'm going to have to mute myself because they're going to speak in the spectator channel, so that's a shame. But that's a-okay. We get to cover everything anyway. Because I can't, if I mute my local audio, then I can't hear them because it's all on the same channel, but that's a-okay. You had your video done, you would have been able to shoutcast? Sorry, man. You left work early today, too? Ouch. Well, hopefully you can get it done in time, man. If not, don't stress yourself. But, Barb, they'd still separate us on 2 of the separate servers. But regardless, for this operation, it is the first round of EU. So, it is a terminal attack. BLUFOR is attacking 3 different OPFOR terminal sites here. BLUFOR is our standard U.S. Marine MARPAT here, so 5.56 rifles, 249 squad automatic weapons. Their machine gunners will be 240 Bravos. Their marksman rifle is the Mark 19. No. It's the, gosh, it's... the Mark 11. The Mark 19 is a Scar. But otherwise, same faction we've seen time and time again. We've got a guy, this is Flood here, who is taking the mat weapon. And otherwise, Scandi Recon is going to be taking Delta 1 today as their own independent squad. 4IB making a big chunk of Alpha, and then Bravo is being taken by the 29th ID, which I don't see Bay among them, but we do have some heavy hitters like Sholand here, so we'll see how that goes. But it's about 44 to 33, so they do have a pretty nasty numbers advantage. BLUFOR also, in terms of vehicles, have a UH-60. No pylons, but does have the 2 M134 miniguns, and they have a littlebird here for transport, though I don't see any pilots formed up to take it. But otherwise, we have 2 M2 Humvees and what looks like only 1 M2 truck. I thought I read 2 in the other file, but 3 mobile M2 platforms. 1 is up armored, but it's going to be slower, and the other 2 are going to be quick, but there is no armor for the gunners here, so they can be easily picked off. They're definitely going to want to stay mobile with those vehicles. But otherwise, that is that for the BLUFOR side. Let's go ahead and look at OPFOR here. OPFOR has, I'm going to assume they're going to be Russian EMR, because that's the standard against Marpat Woodland. Yep, so 5.45 rifles, PKMs for the squad automatic weapon, PKP for the medium machine gun, but they're still the same caliber at 7.62. RPG 26s for the light AT weapon. The Mat Gunner, the medium AT, would have an RPG 32. That is going to be utilized by Pointman. No. Do they not have an RPG 42 gunner? I don't see it. That or he traded it with somebody else, or it's backpacked away, but that's kind of weird that he only has a single tube. Granted, there's not really a reason for them to have a mat weapon, considering the assets, but it's kind of interesting how the mission maker decided not to give the defending faction one, even though they're pretty badly outnumbered here. There's 11 additional players on the BLUFOR side, which doesn't really feel like a 15% numbers advantage. It feels a lot higher than that should be, but I think it's also a bit of a grudge between UPSE players and Scandi Recon just playing in a larger squad format. So everyone who's Dylan is UPSE, and then you have your classics like Pointman, Guy Fieri, Flux, Caden Novix. I'll be watching them like a hawk to see if they can get in a contended area with Scandi Recon themselves, to see if there's any revenge off of the FNF EU Titans final that happened. But otherwise, OPFOR also getting a Huey helicopter with 240, I believe those are Golfs, but it doesn't matter. 7.62 turrets on the side, 2 BTR-70s to utilize, and we have a single static cord turret here for defense as well, plus a large amount of transportation. So I'd love to see if the helicopter or the BTRs can be used offensively here to try to stall BLUFOR's advance. But with this being a 50-minute round, 3 terminal sites across a few kilometers of distance here, I think we're probably going to see OPFOR, for how large they are, probably have most of their forces committed to defense on 1 or 2 of... not even 2 with this amount for, what, 33 guys? I think they're going to commit 20 guys to defense and then the rest to either a counterattack or a defense of a different section, but they do not have the numbers to cover all 3 spots, especially if they put crew in the BTRs, but we'll just have to see how things go. Is there even a pilot down for the helicopter? Because I don't see one. I see Gulf elements, which means they will be utilizing the BTRs, but I don't see any hotel elements. To give you an example, BLUFOR's hotel element, those are the guys that'll fly the choppers, but there's no hotel element for OPFOR, so they're probably not going to use that air asset. Considering the amount of players on the field, I can understand why they're not going to use it. Also, I just realized TSB's crew is also here. Huh, neat. So hopefully they can work well with UPSE to counter Scandi Recon, but with this large of an AO, there's... I can see why they're not fielding the air asset, but I mean, it's a tough decision to make. It's either do you want the 2 BTRs or would you want a BTR in the air asset? Like, what can be the use of the air asset other than minor harassment? But I don't know. We'll have to see how that all plays out. But otherwise, AO1 right here. Actually, this is Terminal Site 3. My bad. The terminal is in this little building here itself. It's a nice open area around with a few kill zones, but forested areas to the south right. The west right here. South has a nice open area, and then also forest to the west, to north, to even east. So a lot of ways that BLUFOR can come up to this position and get a quick touch on the terminal. OPFOR could probably make a good defensive line around here, but that's gonna be a tough one, because OPFOR being outmanned heavily and only having about 30 guys to work with, they need to be very careful about what AOs they use for defense. Now, if the second stories in this building could be enterable, I think that this building would be a good choice for good 360 Overwatch, but because only the first story rooms on certain sides are viewable, I probably wouldn't pick this AO. Now, you gotta remember, though, they only get the map screen. They're not going to be able to come down and look at the AO unless they're really quick about it, but with the distance of all of these AOs together, it would be nearly impossible to get boots on the ground and then start overwatching everything and then making a decision of which AOs you want to defend in only 15 minutes. Otherwise, terminal number 2 is in a small building here. It's got pretty good 360 coverage from the building itself. And all around it is all open fields as well. This would be actually a bit more of a better defensible AO, considering the size of it's just right here, and you've got these nice open areas all around. A little bit of riverbeds for the enemy to work with to get close, but they'd still have to go in the open to pursue you. So I really like this AO. If you could micro your BTRs, you could do a really good job of holding Terminal Site 2, and we're already seeing some forces from 1RCC deploy in here to potentially try to utilize this AO. So I really like this one. I hope OPFOR sticks with that one. And then Terminal 1, we have it inside of a barn complex, and again, something similar. A lot of big open areas around this AO, but I don't like how the forests let them get right on top from the northern and eastern side. The shape is a little bigger for coverage to get all the open fields, but the idea is the same. I would still say Terminal 2 would be the best for considering the amount of forces OPFOR has compared to BLUFOR. It's okay, but Terminal 2 is just a bit tighter in its formation, and you could more easily spread out 20 guys around that position than here. I'm going to be perfectly honest, though. Knowing this information about these AOs, I find it really difficult to actually choose to hold more than one AO here. When you're the defender, usually when you're given 3 objectives like this and they're pretty well spaced out, you usually want to hold 2 and sacrifice 1. But here, with such limited manpower, it's gonna make this one pretty difficult. Because spreading yourselves out this thin, so only like one squad of up to 10 guys could potentially fight like 40 people, you're kind of relying on BLUFOR to do a manpower split. Because if they don't, it doesn't matter if they're fighting UPSE or Scandi Recon, they're gonna get overwhelmed and encircled. So if I was in BLUFOR's shoes, I would definitely go for a unified battle line, knowing that I have the numbers advantage. I'd send the Humvees up, I'd do harassment, and then I would just encircle, wipe. Next AO, encircle, wipe, all the way through until you'd score a victory at that point. Okay, so they did just change someone out to do a hotel asset. They have Malin and Tarnfolk now flying as pilot and co-pilot. That's a good call there to at least get that, because if they can find out where BLUFOR is coming from, they can adjust their strategy accordingly. Another thing I would have liked to see OPFOR do is set up an explosive specialist outside of one of the AOs they wanted to sacrifice, and just have him watch people come in to touch off explosives and get a few kills. So, for example, this building, put some explosives in the hedges themselves, or just around it, That way you're guaranteed a kill. At the very least one, sometimes you can get away with a few more, and then that can help get BLUFOR's number advantage down instead. This terminal over here, which is the one I would more than likely sacrifice, you could put an explosive down here, and then the other entryway right here, you could put an explosive either on the corner, or try to, like, it's kind of hard to put an explosive down around here. Maybe in this little tree branch right there, you could hide one as well, but this one's a bit tougher because you'd have to make it more obvious, but you could probably put one in next to the building here and detonate it, collapse the building, and still get a few kills, if not wounds. But we have X-Ray covering on the far right side. We got Killer with the marksman rifle. I want to see what he does with that, because we saw him in FNF Titans for the second half, and he had a round where he had a 6-kill streak and did really well for his group. But OPFOR really splitting their forces, trying to primarily put a defensive on Terminal 1, a minor defensive on Terminal 2. I just hope it doesn't spread 1 RCC too thin here. And then we have X-Ray kind of sulking around Terminal 3 with a Vic behind them. And then it looks like a BTR going to each terminal to help with Overwatch, but what is BLUFOR doing? So they are going to send a squad via that Blackhawk. I do think that's a bit of a mistake, unless it's going to scout out the objective that these guys are going for. But if that was the case, I'd probably scout with the littlebird and then send all of these guys up accordingly. But the worst thing BLUFOR can do in this position is spread their forces out and try to hit all 3 terminals at the same time with a split force, because that just really will nullify their number advantage. Otherwise, they're bringing all the M2 Vics. Got Anderson gunning for the truck. And then it looks like members of 4IB taking the 2 mobile Vics. Then X-Ray going off on their own. Helicopter's going to go around on the right. It might be able to catch the Blackhawk out of position here. Sorry I haven't been reading chat too much. It's a little tough to cover and read chat at the same time. I'll be curious to see how this all goes. Right, oh lord. No, actually, they're not going to divide the NA server the way they've been doing the EU server, because this is just a single test run, so I'll be sure to give my honest feedback about it. Otherwise, they're having BLUFOR cut on the right side, then they're going to have it cross the bridge here at Ruha, and then they're going to probably hit Terminal 1 and just do a right-to-left sweep. They're going to send X-Ray over far to see what their defenses are like on the previous, the next 2 terminals, and that'll help them gauge where the enemy's forces are. And I would assume that Blackhawk is going to deploy somewhere to the north of Terminal 1. And then send forces down so they can encircle Terminal 1. So, really simply, RSM, it's just the server is running 2 instances of the missions at the same time. So one instance has a bunch of other communities on it, and then this instance has all the communities I've listed, including elements of TSB, but that's all bundled in Centaur, because TSB usually goes for the NA time slot. So I believe they are running the same mission file for all 3 rounds. It's just, you know, instead of being capped at 124 and running 1 server, they're running about 85 people on each server, but they're running 2 instances. So the test run today is just to see if that server can handle running both at the same time, I believe. That or they're using the NA server right now, but it's on 2 separate ports, so that implies that they're running it on the same box. Otherwise, you've got 29th ID, as I predicted, deploying to the northeast of this objective. They're going to start coming down. They're either going to go through these open fields or hook it into the forest and try to attack Terminal 1 from the north. And while this is going on, BLUFOR is going to send their forces, deploying them. I see what they're doing. So they're going to come through Ruha If not, they're going to try to find a shallow spot in this river to cross. That's really risky. There are some spots where that's possible, though. So they'd have to have a little bit of meta knowledge to know that area, but knowing these communities, I wouldn't be surprised about that. But it looks like these other Vics are going to stay on the Ruha crossing to play it safe. But they want to do a dismount around right here. And then they see all this greenery on the map right here. So they're going to follow this greenery around and then hit Terminal 1 from that area, trying to stay out of the open areas. Now, just because you see greenery doesn't always it's going to be, you know, solid cover here. I could see OPFOR catching some of these Vics out of position. But BLUFOR has a pretty decent strategy here that they're going to work with. Instead, they're actually opting to follow Okay. No, so they're going to follow the Recon element here. And I guess find a shallow spot in the river to cross and then follow the helicopter crew in from the northwest. Excuse me, northeast. The one risk about that, though, is using all that time to deploy is going to start eating up a bit on the clock with this 50-minute round. There's still going to be a lot of ground to cover. And if OPFOR plays this smart and they realize that they are in a losing situation, they could easily remount in Vix, leave some explosive satchels behind, and move to the next AO and form another defensive line, and they could stall out this round and make it go to time. So BLUFOR is kind of playing into that strategy. That's why they've sent X-Ray all the way around on the other side here, so it can see if this Terminal 3 site is open. And possibly back cap it if they need to. Otherwise, helicopter's starting to open up. It's firing some rounds into Terminal 1. Hearing a little bit of a sound delay from the aircraft there. But it looks like the Humvee was able to find a shallow spot and drive on past, because, yeah, it doesn't really get that deep. You want to avoid the deeper parts of the river, though, because it will flood your vehicle's engine and make it useless. And we do see that happen time and time again in FNF. So otherwise, that Humvee that was leading with Delta's element that was Scandi Recon scouting out, they are now dismounting. And they're going to start joining the RCC guys. But see, attacking from this angle gives them the most forest to work with, so you might see BLUFOR try to set up a line of people right here. And then some additional forces come around here and just try to work their way directly on the terminal, which will bypass a lot of OPFOR's defense lines. Now that there's a smaller group of people in these matches, OPFOR is going to have to think more tactically, because usually, if this was a 124 slot operation, BLUFOR would either do a force split of trying to attack 2 terminals at once, or they would, you know, keep this method going, but with the remaining 20 or 30 guys they'd have under their command, probably set up like large overwatch positions to contend with OPFOR's defensive lines that were looking at these spots to kind of draw their fire and attention away from where the strike team was coming in. But now that that's not the case, and every man just counts for that much more because you have less people, using tactics like these isn't going to be the most viable, because BLUFOR is only going to commit a certain amount of people to one direction, because they only have a limited amount to commit to, and vice versa for OPFOR. So I get why OPFOR is doing this strategy, to really separate their guys out just to see where BLUFOR is going to come from, but that makes it all the more important for their air asset to find where BLUFOR is attacking from, because if BLUFOR gets up to a nice overwatch spot and starts laying down fire, OPFOR might not be able to pull to the defensive lines without crossing open ground and potentially get picked off before they can set up a proper defensive, and BLUFOR might just steamroll them. Lord, if I recall correctly, excuse me, not Lord, Christian, if I recall correctly, it is either vanilla stamina or a modified ace stamina. I can't recall, though. That chopper's firing from a long range. I don't know if it's trying to fire on the terminals themselves or if the rounds are falling short, but I think it's just running distractionary efforts right now. Just firing at the fact that it sees fortifications, but the infantry, A, from that helicopter's range is going to be so far out that's not really going to be able to see anything. It's just firing at the general area of where it sees these fortifications. Now the question is, did Malin just spot these Humvees driving around on the northern side? I'm going to say he did. And what we might see now is a call out down to these ground elements. We might see them start putting up northern defense lines. Phase 3 stamina. Yep. All right. Because my fear is OPFOR could easily set up in that tree line over there and shoot these guys in the back. Especially on these defense lines, too. There's a little bit of room for OPFOR to maneuver and get on these fortifications, but especially with this BTR right here, it is looking in the direction where those Vics were called out, but they're now maneuvering through the forest. I could see this BTR getting sniped very, very easily. So now the UH-60, it's being told to just run distractionary efforts, firing down on these positions. Some of the shots getting close, but OPFOR is doing their best to lay low. But right now, we're at the stage where BLUFOR is almost ready to deploy its forces completely. It's just rallying everyone north of the actual objective. So that helicopter flying around doing orbitals and shooting down at this AO is going to cause some people who, instead of looking at their security directions, they're going to look up and try to avoid that helicopter. And the more eyes that are up, distracted by the helicopter, means the less eyes that are actually pulling 360 and not trying to get shot, because they'll be running for cover instead. Now, what that helicopter needs to do for OPFOR is either try to pursue the Black Hawk, which it probably won't be able to, or, I think more importantly what it's trying to do is find where the BLUFOR attack is coming. So you got BLUFOR X-Ray that's deployed on the other side here. They're going to probably try to go elaborately around and attack from the northern side to get to Terminal 3, or at least overwatch it first. See that it's empty, and then go and tap it. And they might get into a fight with X-Ray. Yeah, so the vehicle here, it's looking up instead of in its direction. I think it's adjusting, though, because it hears the truck coming. Yep, we just saw some movement right there, so the gun immediately turned because Anderson was right there. Now it's going to start seeing the Humvee. Actually, that's the truck. And it just eliminated Anderson, I believe, who was the gunner of that Vic. Now we're seeing a truck being pulled out here as OPFOR is either going to adjust a defensive line right here, or it might pull back. I think that's actually just Rose pulling that gas out, ready to pull away. Aeronaut, thank you for the 690. I appreciate it, my man. Hope you're enjoying the operation here, and I hope you get a kick out of the EU branch of FNF today. Alright, so now you're starting to see members of UPSE from that position actually getting behind some rocks here and attempting some long-range shots. Looks like they're firing at Sanctified here as he gets behind a rock, and you're hearing this BTR starting to engage. I think it just picked off Rafter, yep, who was still in the seat of the truck, so that truck might end up being disabled here. Now, it is important to note that these windows are bulletproof because of how foggy they are, but that 14.5 millimeter is still going to tear right through them. You actually saw some chunks of somebody fall out as those next few shots penetrated. Now, the BTR, in my opinion, right now is actually making a very critical mistake, pushing up ahead with no infantry support. Because if one of the BLUFOR guys has an AT weapon, it can easily pick this BTR off. So the BTR, what it should be doing is pulling back so it has an infantry screen with it, because BLUFOR might just AT it. But luckily for the BTR in this case, I don't see any AT weaponry on these BLUFOR guys over here, and they're not going to be able to maneuver things around. So I think Heckfly is trying to shoot at that one guy over there. Nope, they're just trying to find more angles to hit this BTR, excuse me, that truck. LAT is light anti-tank, MAT is medium anti-tank. So every squad has LAT, but only the Charlie 2 squad has the medium AT. So now that BTR is going to start picking off people over here. Got one kill. I just saw some shots go on Bedovic. Actually, it's Bedekovic. Seen some small arms fire being returned. I think they're firing at Stark. But what needs to happen now is BLUFOR needs to get their LAT or MAT out to take care of that vehicle, because otherwise it's going to keep picking people off. That's another issue when you have smaller groups of players, is there's less AT weapons that can deal with these powerful assets. So we do have Charlie 2 coming up. It's Flood with the Moz right here. He's going to eventually get a solution on that BTR if it sticks here. Jeez, Braden Turbo, thank you so much for the $50 spot, man. I really do appreciate it. Hope you keep enjoying all the operations. Hope you're getting a kick out of FNF, and I hope you get a kick out of this scenario. So Stark just got on the 50 cal and attempted to fire at this vehicle here. Looks like Heckfly and Aim at the Stars switched out, and they pulled out of that 50 cal's line of fire. I don't think they knew that was taken yet, though, because that weapon could eventually hit them. But there we go. Now the BTR didn't. Was that a miss? Oh my god, you're kidding me. So he shot under and then he overcorrected. No, Heckfly's wounded, the driver. So yes, it did hit, but it was a weak hit, because there's no damage model on the 70 there. But they knocked the driver unconscious, and then they missed the second shot, so now they're moving closer to, I guess, take it out. But again, that's the weakness of having the BTR up by itself, is eventually AT will encircle. But that BTR got 3 kills on its own. GL is also starting to go into it now, but it's just HE, not HEDP, but it can still screw with the top gun, and that's exactly what they're doing. 2 consecutive hits. That gun has been disabled now. And Flood's now getting this shot out again. If he misses a third, there we go. Great hit. And that's gonna cause no smoke out, but these guys are both knocked unconscious, unlikely to wake up. And they're putting a 4th AT shot in there. Okay, they gotta be really careful about that, because that means they only have 2 more AT shots for the other BTR-70, and they don't want to waste any more at this point. So the BTR-70s, you do have to be careful on them a bit, because their damage model is a little finicky. They can tank a lot of punishment. But usually in your first or second Moz shot, it'll hit the driver and gunner. And I think we just saw Stark get picked off from range by Bronson here. Knocked out. But as that's all been going on, Alpha and Bravo for BLUFOR have been doing a long-range contesting with Alpha and Bravo for even a Charlie element here for OPFOR here. But now you got the Charlie squad for BLUFOR is going to come around and try to thread the needle as they're supported by these other 2 groups. It looks like Bravo's also going to start maneuvering around. And you still have the OPFOR helicopter flying by here, firing out the smoke. But again, thank you so much for the donation, guys. It means a lot. It all goes straight to the mortgage payment, and we're so freaking close. I'm like 8 G's away, considering everything. Voodoo, thanks so much for the Twitch Prime sub, my man. I hope you keep enjoying the operations. I hope you're getting a kick out of this scenario. And staying safe among COVID. I'll be really happy when I don't have to say that anymore. And Wrathful giving out 2 gifts, actually no, 1 gift sub. And it goes to Twitch Evan, excuse me. Hope you keep enjoying the operations yourself, and I hope you're getting a kick out of this scenario. And staying safe among COVID. So Scania Recon's part of Delta, and they're actually already moving over to the next AO. as the other elements here try to continue to hit this position. We have the other BTR coming in. This is TSB, Lolo Reaper, and Wasber coming up. We do have Charlie 2 up here with 2 more Moz rockets. Any one of those shots could be critical, but if they make Flood whiff those next 2 shots, they should be golden. But as long as the BTR stays at a decent range and tries to pick off the infantry over here, they should be able to hold. Because I think one of the BTRs just picked off, yep, the MMG gunner for Charlie 2. And now that's forcing Flood to pull back. And I'm not sure if these guys are trying to see if they can use that BTR. There's still someone in it, so they'll have to pull their body up. But I'm pretty sure that gun's disabled because they put 2 underbarrel GLs into it. And we see some shots going on this truck's gun here, just above where the gunner would be. And you have Alpha pushing on King, UPSE, and Novix here. 3 really good players, but they are under fire from a Humvee. They're still getting pickoffs where they can. So King getting a shot right there. They take out the gunner for that Humvee. These 3 guys can do a lot of damage if you let them. So gunner was killed. Brook and Caddick pushing. Juckers trying to suppress Novix. King coming out, getting another kill. These 4 IB guys are getting knocked out to high hell here. So King getting knocked out by a GL. Jucker's coming up, Appointment gets him. Novix getting in a 1v1, winning as well, and now it's 2v3. Brook might come in and try to double tap King. And you also have Guy Fieri running up and Flux running up to try to give some assistance. King waking back up, but he gets immediately dropped by Brook and Caddick, unfortunately. This is why I did want to cover Server 2 with all of these veteran players, because they can pull some amazing plays. But King ending that with 3 kills, Novix on 3 kills, and Pointman on 2 kills. And they might be able to wrap up these remaining 4 IB guys. Novix breaching it on Brook, gets the kill. Now it's 1-1. And Caddick didn't have a mag in his gun, and Novix is able to take him out. And that's all the BLUFOR guys that pushed up on their own right there, taken out by a good chunk of UPSE. And that might have just turned the tide. 4 IB completely wiped out over here. They still got some stragglers in the helicopter and 1 guy in the Humvee who's gotten out. Truman, he's on his own, trying to check this body, trying to apply medical to it. Flux is going to hear that and come up and deliver a Hillary Clinton. Multiple shots to the back of the head, and that's Flux's first kill. So BLUFOR losing a big chunk of their manpower in that attack might have just shifted the sands in OPFOR's favor. Now you've got Scandia Recon being pulled over because they realize they lost that big chunk of 4 IB guys, but it might be enough. Unfortunately, the BTR was cooked off while we were watching that fight, I would assume, by the Matt team gunner. Where's Flood? He does have a vehicle kill under his belt, so that was him with the Moz. Oh yes, a Hillary Clinton is whenever you are shot twice in the back of the head by an opponent. That is what I've always said, because that's how it works. But your death gets listed as a suicide. I have my own damn jokes, but BLUFOR is a bit stalled right here because that was their Overwatch element to distract this left side. But instead, now that that left flank's collapsed and everything's coming around on the right, you're just going to see UPSE adapt and take this Humvee and now barrage this truck with 50 cal to help disable it. And if anyone was in there, they're probably going to be dead at this point. Sir, 635, thanks so much for the tier 1 sub, my man. I hope you keep enjoying the operations, and I hope you're getting a kick out of this scenario. The killer. I might start using that now. So I think Flood just got a pick off on that bunker. It wasn't his kill. At least I thought they shot someone in here. I thought I saw a body flop, but there's plenty of bandages, but no one there actually. Now you, actually no, this is a UAZ pulling back with some stragglers. And you have some guys in here trying to form a defensive as the forces are just pulling away, pulling back to hold that position instead, including some of the survivors of that BTR. We might see them remount this Vic right here. I think they're checking to see if it's drivable. It is. There's some blast damage, though. If Flood is quick, he might be able to get up. Oh, he's already waiting for it. There's the Moz shot. And it takes out the truck. Great call there. So that's going to cause these guys to either try to run on foot or get away. And you're having the UH-1 and the Blackhawk go at it. UH-60, it's a generation above the Blackhawk here. But Malin is a very good pilot, and I think he's going to use every trick under his sleeve to try to get away from that Blackhawk and maybe come around and give it a black eye with that 7.62. Because his his coaxial weapons are more powerful with that 7.62 compared to the 5.56 on the 134, but those 134s have a much higher fire rate. So looking back over here at Terminal 3, we have Mike. Mike's thing just flashed. So he is watching this on his own. I wouldn't be surprised if he's been given some sort of explosive satchel to overwatch this position, or if his job is to literally just lock this down in case someone tries to cap it on their own. So that's a good call there. I just hope he has something to back that up. Just a stall, but you're going to see a BLUFOR X-Ray come in to try to take Terminal 3 there. And now BLUFOR making another push as OPFOR was trying to pull out. So a lot of OPFOR guys caught in the open here. They're trying to crawl back. They're going to end up getting stuck here. But with the amount we see on BLUFOR's side, OPFOR hasn't realized they've actually killed off a lot of BLUFOR because of what 4IB contended with. So only one KIA there, but I think we saw a few BLUFOR guys get picked off as well. Yeah, we got one body right there. And Bravo 1 Thicky firing from a very long range, but he's actually being very effective here. Definitely made some of these guys turn their heads away. And Lolo, I think, is still in this Vic, if not under it. He's not listed as unconscious, so I think he's waiting to pop out and try to get behind some of these BLUFOR guys and get a few kills. That's a crazy... It's a good strategy. Definitely a suicidal one, but he might be able to get away with a few. So OPFOR did their best to try to pull out. Some forces did. But now it's just a last stand here. Yanni coming around, taking out Dylan 1 and knocking out Reapers. They could still wake back up, but I think Yanni's going to come around and finish the job. But he is unable to as the second Dylan comes around. A Moz round going into the barn and taking out this transport truck, doing some damage to anyone that was around it. And this is that BLUFOR overwhelm that I was telling you guys about earlier. If BLUFOR is able to encircle the AO here, it's going to get very messy very quickly. You got some of these OPFOR holdouts doing their best to continue to try to stall BLUFOR's advance. Grenades going off left, right, and center. You got Bronson and Roaston here doing their best to cover. Satchel being thrown by Dog4. Something just exploded. There's the satchel going off. It doesn't take the barn out, though. Was that the UH-60 that went down? Nope, it's still up. Okay. Roast going down. Dylan 6. Doing his best to hold with that PKM. People are climbing around everything. Dylan, I think, was just able to take out Arcor. Nim trying to come up. Nope, Arcor's still up. He's doing a quick reload. It's not going to be enough. And he gets knocked out. There's the hack on Terminal 1. If Lolo is up, now would be a good time to turn out and try to engage. But OPFOR just lost a lot of manpower that weren't able to pull out. Unfortunately, a lot of them were the Dylans. Oh, so sad. Did any Dylan survive? No. They were just slaughtered on their family barn. What a shame. Wait, Dylan 5. Okay. Dylan 5 was able to pull back in time. So BLUFOR, even though they lost a full squad, were just able to take it back and take out a full squad of OPFOR here. But looking at the skull counts, I would say OPFOR has the number advantage now. And that's going to be a very difficult firefight for BLUFOR to come on top of at this point, especially since we're going to have, doing some math in my head, about 22 minutes left in the round. So we're more than halfway through. Only one terminal's been taken. I think BLUFOR is going to try to bank on the fact that they can take Terminal 3. But it looks like they know that Mike might exist in here, and Mike, I think, knows that he has people outside. Oh yeah, he definitely knows. So Mike is going to potentially be a deciding factor here as Joseph Stalin is being pushed up with Kami Slaughter overwatching him, but these two, this fire team will hopefully be able to overwatch each other, and BLUFOR is going to have to pull back into the tree line here and then come fight in Terminal 2, but Terminal 2 has the tougher AO because it's a lot more open ground. And OPFOR has also stolen a 50 cal Humvee. Tied in the family bar like the Rango movie. SR slaughtered UPSE once again. I don't think it's going to be enough, though. Saving Private Dylan. That's actually perfect, because everyone, all of the other Dylans are dead. Oh. We don't have any BTRs left, though, so we don't have anyone named Tom Hanks to fire their handgun into the barrel. All right, if Mike were to turn the corner, he might be able to catch Kami Slaughter out of position here. But I think he's going to be stopped short. I don't hear Kami's footsteps from his spot, so I don't think he knows that those two BLUFOR guys just infiltrated. Well, if you tell, Slaughter changed his name to Slaughter instead. So instead he puts people in communism, which is the only way he was able to get Joseph Stalin to agree to work with him. Obviously. So otherwise, we have some elements of OPFOR X-Ray. I think they're going to pull back and try to get to Mike's position. But I don't think Mike has the time. That's going to be like a 5-minute run there, but it looks like they're actually going to get in a vehicle and move up. And a 4v4 might be different. But if BLUFOR doesn't win Terminal 3, then they're screwed. But this fight between Terminal 2 and the remaining BLUFOR forces is also going to be a very difficult one because there are not that many forces left. Mike is now going to come in. Now he's coming around. Oh, these guys are going to hear his footsteps for sure. So yeah, they're looking at the doorways. Mike's just gone into the terminal site himself instead. Again, I don't see any explosive traps around. And then these two guys don't have any overwatch vector of Mike, so they don't know that Mike has just come in right here, but Mike is completely oblivious to the two guys that have pushed in. But reinforcements are on the way. It's just Mike needs to hold out. But I think Mike is going to now come into this building. No, he's going to go around instead. And these two other guys are coming in. So I think these guys heard those footsteps go back, and now they're going to push out. Mike has no idea. Joseph running around. Mike does not hear the footsteps. Kami Slaughter sees him. Oh my god. Mike, you gotta install those Turtle Beach headphones, man. Alright, so OPFOR X-Ray now firing on the rear of some of the BLUFOR guys. Getting some shots on Navy, crippling him. But weren't able to land a kill there. BLUFOR, meanwhile, getting close to overwatching on this last objective. But if OPFOR X-Ray can push back and deny BLUFOR the terminal tap, they'll be golden. So what I think Joseph needs to do right now is get to the terminal, start the countdown. These guys need to get something on the objective to tick down, because otherwise all of this is going to be for naught. But even then, BLUFOR has an uphill battle on Terminal 2. More shots going on Han. Hans, get the flame. God, some of these people have some really creative names. Guy Fieri sending people to Flavor Town. Hans getting the Flemmenwerfer. You gotta love the creativity people come up with in this regard. But Joseph, I think he's popping smokes up because he's gonna make a run for touching that terminal because he knows he's gotta get the objective here because these other two guys are pinned. And you also have the OPFOR Huey coming in to try to give some fire support here. By the way, I just noticed I don't see the UH-60 up anymore. Instead, they're in the littlebird. So Joseph's actually going to flank around, and no one on BLUFOR is going for the terminal. That's not what they want to be doing right now. If anything, you want to hold. Like, their spots were good. Well, if you hit the terminal, then you can force them to come to there. Maybe they're fearful that the GBU that spawns on the terminal after the countdown ends will blow up the buildings and obstruct their cover, and that'll get them killed off. You got McCarthy here fighting the communists. Yeah, you can see the jokes with that. But Commie Slaughter here, he sees McCarthy and he wants his revenge for the entirety of the Cold War. Otherwise, Lussaud spotting Joseph Stalin here, making him pull away. I don't see any blood under here, so I don't think he was able to get any hits. Joseph returning fire and killing McCarthy is in his tracks. So, Joseph Stalin getting his 7.62 over the neck of McCarthy there. And ending the Cold War once and for all. And we got Killer coming up to flank. I think he's going to try to breach Joseph. But again, a minute and a half has passed by now. If these guys just played the objective, they would have had the timer done right now. Because I think Killer's going to be able to breach Joseph here. But now with this being a 2v4... I stand corrected. Streamer's Curse. Navy able to find an angle on Lussaud there and take him out, but Killer's gonna breach in. Does Joseph hear the footsteps? He does not. Is Killer gonna hear the barn? Is Joseph gonna hear the barn door open? He's gonna see it and get caught in a reload. Is Killer gonna run up to this window and fire through instead? Nope, but Joseph saw him. Grenade knocks Joseph to his feet as Killer comes around. But instead, Killer comes back and takes out Joseph Stalin. And again, no one's touched the terminal yet. BLUFOR still doing a massive amount of maneuvering, but you've got UPSE maneuvering on the south side of BLUFOR's forces over here. They're going to encircle the rest of BLUFOR right there and take him out. That's going to be unfortunate. Killer trying to get some shots in. He definitely got wounded. It's hard to see the blood, but I saw some come out. Yep, so he's doing some bandaging. That UGL is not going to do him any favors. In a 3v1, that helicopter could potentially land and add a few manpower to Terminal 3. I think OPFOR, because they're not ordering a crazy strategy or move like that, are pretty confident in defending the other terminal site. So at least the helicopter is forcing BLUFOR to keep in buildings or close to cover. Killer also doing his bandaging. He does have the marksman rifle, and he's taken the SR-25 for the bigger magazine. So he could pick people off. But I'm really... Is Navy finally going to push in there and touch the frickin' terminal? Yes, he does. All right, so that's going to start that countdown. And now it's going to be difficult for Killer to get the kills and stop that terminal hack at the same time. So Killer doing his best, trying to catch Commie Slaughter out of position there. Gets a headshot on him, though, after he stays put. Killer trying to get some shots on Hans here. As Navy running up, leaning to the left to try to avoid a headshot. I think Killer's going to pull back and potentially try to do some bandaging. As Killer pushes up. Oh god, BLUFOR, look at the amount of guys they have left here. We'll get back to this, but this is UPSE coming up and taking out the remaining guys, BLUFOR's flank here. Completely outflanked by UPSE. Just the amount of kills UPSE has gotten here. Novik's on his 6th. Guy Fieri on none, but Flux on his 2nd. Now you got Scandi Recon, at least what's left of them, trying to push up, fighting with 1 ER. I think someone just got picked off over on the right. Yep. So Killer getting taken out. But it's up to Scandi Recon and server developer Martin here to fight through this massive amount of OPFOR guys, but with no air support, it's looking quite messy. Looks like Lolo actually got out of the helicopter too, or excuse me, the BTR, and we still have Stark back here doing God knows what. 4 guys left for BLUFOR. It's going to be up to Azariah and Nem to keep the front line going. They were able to pick off a few guys. Nem pulling back. He comes out, though, and sprays a little bit. Takes a few shots for that, unfortunately. Martin Arcor running up. Naka spotted before he can do any damage. These guys might be able to get a straight shot in here. The doorway opens. Piram is running away. Azariah unable to land the hit, though. And now he is being flanked by Snoof coming down from under the tree, and he picks off Azariah. It is just down to the 3 amigos. Satchel charge goes off. Piram threw that. That knocked out Theki. UPSE slowly coming out. They've got about 45 seconds of distance here. I could see BLUFOR clutching this, but the defense is going to be very difficult. Theki waking up. Arcor getting a great shot on one of the remaining defenders. Grenade getting thrown. Arcor getting shot in the back of the head there, but his helmet's able to tank it. He needs people to continue to run up and cover, because if these guys stay pinned, UPSE is going to get here, and it's going to be over. BLUFOR not wanting to push up that way. Nemesis pulling back. They're also taking 7.62 fire from the helicopter. UPSE not triple timing, only double timing. Actually, not even sprinting. They're moving at their own pace. Arcor goes down. Vehicle gets destroyed. Oh, a perfectly thrown grenade next to Martin as Seof runs up and takes out Nemesis. Seof is getting friendly fired, though, by Dylan. Dylan, I guess, looking in that direction, but not looking at Martin as Martin gets the kill. BLUFOR actually picked up some of those guys on the right side. Might also move around and pick up Stark here. Now it's up to Martin to run up. He might see Theki in time. And Martin gets the kill on Theki there. Now we're going to see some blue on blue here as Martin is pinned down, getting shot out by Novix there, and that's it. So close. But it just wasn't enough. So let's do a little final kill count comparison. Keen on 3 kills, Novix on 9 kills. So that's 12, Flux on 2, so 14, 15, 16, 17 including Dylan 1. But UPSE definitely did a lot of work there. Eander with none, Martin with 1, Nimia with 1, Infidel on 0, Nemesis on 2, 4 total. 5th for Arcor, 7 for Azariah. I'm counting up, by the way. 10 total for Scandi Recon. Not bad, but good God, UPSE encircling. Not even an encirclement. Just 4IB walked up to him and just got absolutely manhandled. And it's because UPSE was able to take out the entirety of 4IB's Alpha 2 that knocks the number advantage out of BLUFOR's favor. And OPFOR was able to hold. And that's pretty incredible, if you ask me. So, there is still a chance, though. We've got the little bird right here. with a primed grenade. 4 people in that chopper. If they land danger close, get out and take the terminal building. There's actually still a chance here. So they're gonna come in. No, they're not gonna thunder run it. They're gonna walk. That's not gonna get them. They're not gonna be able to get that. Yep, so that's everyone getting out there. I see Navy and Hans still alive. And then we have the BLUFOR ground command here, Stark. He's Platoon 1 HQ. At this point, he needs to just get the truck and drive into the AO. I thought the little bird was going to come in and just land right next to the objective and go for it. But we're at about 5.5 minutes left. Let's see how things go. Lola, 9 kills. We usually get one or 2 rounds out of the entire night. Someone usually goes above. I want to say 8 kills and above is, it's not rare, but it's significant. Trying to honestly think about it. How would I make the comparison? So, like a squad, usually you'll see UPSE or Scandia Recon, or honestly any group can get up to like 10 kills as a group, and that is pretty significant because that's literally an entire enemy team wiped. But someone getting... No, I'll say it's above 5 is actually pretty significant because that's literally wiping like an entire enemy team, or at least a big majority of it. Well, let me do a head count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have about 8-man fire teams. So if you can get 8 kills, that means you wiped an entire enemy team. Which you see on occasion, but it's still rare, I would say. Yeah, achieving 1-to-1, getting 1 kill and then dying is generally the standard, but we'll occasionally see something like T5 Bay last week was able to go from 1 kill to 7 kills in like a minute because he just breached a building with a 249 and just slaughtered everyone inside. But more often than not, it's the auto riflemen and machine gunners that get the high amounts of kills. Sometimes, depending on the map, it's also the marksman can get a massive amount of kills, but it has to be a very open map for the marksman to have a lot of room to work. And then, of course, Audrey Hotto has the record of officially getting 21 kills, but it could be argued he got 23 in a round a few months ago, and that has been the record for most kills taken in a round. But the Audrey Hotto incident, as we call it, no one's ever come close to that afterwards. So we have Guy Fieri running in the open right here. Navy flanking around. Guy Fieri's shot's actually landing really close to Navy there. Oh! There's Guy Fieri's first kill! Ah, with a nice little red dot. So BLUFOR is doing their best to send their last guys in. I think a Thunder Run would have been a little better, but you know, they want to play it safe, but with the amount of OPFOR guys in this concave going in, they already just lost another guy. So they lost Navy and Hans there, so just up to the 2 4IB guys that have MP7s. So it's not really going to work out for them here. Yeah, Hans needed the Flammenwerfer. Maybe it was all an elaborate ruse for Stark to go in, but Stark's just staying put right there, so. Manford taking a lot of fire there. Guy Fieri's going to come up and probably tap him in the back of the head. So, Guy Fieri trying to pick off Shepard. Honestly, the MP7 is actually a really good weapon. I've seen some of the pilots do some really good work with it. And you have the chopper now flying low. And it Ah, yes, TSB. You guys always manage to disappoint me. So hold on, was that Guy Fieri throwing an explosive satchel up? No, that was... I don't even know who threw it. No, it was his, though, because that counted as a kill. So Guy Fieri found an explosive satchel and just killed a friendly with it. But I don't think he was expecting pilots to run up and do this. Now you got Malin running up, and he's going to execute Manford, who has literally surrendered at this point, but he still gets shot. That's GG. 1 minute left on the clock, and Stark hasn't really run anywhere. He's going for the truck, maybe? Yeah, but... I mean, he had all this time to maneuver. It is possible that he might have been able to sneak into the terminal room, at least initiate the hack, but he didn't. But, and then defending it would have been a completely different story. But otherwise, that is the end of round 1, and round 2 will begin...